about my love. Wasn't it enough? Just let me know so I can.
As everybody knows in the news, Jeff's in the chat. I see you. Everybody heard in the news, man, about the Stefon Diggs is unhappy in Buffalo situation, and apparently it was just a rumor. According to Stephen A. Smith and his source, he was like very, very sure that his source was correct. Stefon Diggs then tweets out, "This ain't true. I don't know who your sources are." I'm paraphrasing. I don't know who your sources are and things like that. The thing is, man, Stefon Diggs had his issues with Minnesota when he was up there. And, that took its turn in the situation right after that playoff game that everybody remembers, basically having to move on to, I believe it was the NFC Championship game against the Eagles, right? 2019, right? Or 2017? Somebody correct me if I'm wrong. 2016, 2017, right? So then he moves on to Buffalo. He gets what he wants. He wants out. Apparently him and Kirk Cousins didn't have the best relationship. Then he moves on to Buffalo. Do y'all remember like the first 2 or 3 years, or the first 2 years especially, it was all sunshine and rainbows in Buffalo. Him and Josh Allen were like best friends, and people were raving about how great their relationship was. And then he's constantly putting up 12, 13, 1,400 yard seasons, a ton of touchdowns, being talked in regards from, everybody in ECG, but a lot of people around the football world as the one of the, like, if not one of the best, a top 5, top 3 receiver in the league year after year after year. I don't think anybody's doubting his talent. Everybody knows, if you know me, I knew him personally growing up, but it is what it is. People change as they get older and things like that. All I'm going to say is in every rumor, there's a little bit of truth. Just a little bit. In life, it always happens like that. So do I think that Stephen A. Smith as a whole has gotten some things wrong? Absolutely. Every analyst does. Everybody takes rumor and we run with it, right? But obviously he heard this from somewhere, and he heard this from probably somebody that is a reliable source that's around them. This is what they do. These guys, we can't be naive to think that these guys don't build relationships with people in the industry that kind of give them a nugget and kind of give them a nudge to help them out in their career. And, shady things get done. I mean, people get paid under the table to get their sources and things like that. And also, on top of that, it's not like we haven't seen this out of Stefon Diggs before. The whole contract thing this offseason, the whole I go to the offensive coordinator because I want to help call plays kind of ordeal, which was a little weird, but it is what it is. I mean, how much more do you want out of this offense? Like, you're obviously the number one guy offensively outside of Josh Allen every single year. So from that aspect, you just take a step back and you just kind of assume that, something's obviously going on. That relationship with him and Josh Allen doesn't seem, as crazy as some others. So I don't know. I know Stefon. I know how he is. I don't think people like his attitude towards a lot of things. I do think he's a very passionate player, and that's maybe why, I kind of stray on the other side of the fence a lot of the times, and I'm just like, I try to see it from both sides. I know where he came from. I know how he grew up. I know how him and his brother were. Maybe he's still got that chip on his shoulder somehow, and maybe he's thinking of, I want to be more involved in the play calling, or I feel like the offense is starting to cater to somebody else. Because let's put it like this. Gabe Davis did have a amazing playoff game against the Chiefs. I think he had over 200 yards, had a couple touchdowns in that game. And maybe he was a little scared going into the next season that they were game planning around Gabe Davis, and maybe you're going to take some of the offense away from him and give it to Gabe Davis. Now, that didn't end up being the case because Gabe Davis pretty much stepped on his own foot the whole season. But at the other side of that, I can understand why that would be frustrating. That's like being a quarterback in your prime. That's kind of like the Carson Wentz situation, the perfect example. Then you draft Jalen Hurts in this, I believe, in the second round, and people are like, "What? We already got a quarterback." And then everybody knows the downfall of Carson Wentz after now. Now the Eagles look like geniuses, which I said that I thought that eventually that Jalen Hurts was going to be the guy there, and he absolutely is. Runner up for the MVP pretty much in the Super Bowl. When you start getting things taken away from you or things taken away from your responsibilities where you felt like that you're an integral piece and it starts going to somebody else, or at least it starts to get talked about, you do feel a little funny about the whole situation. So let's get to these comments. Spee has been getting his targets and stats, but now he's frustrated that they have not gotten anywhere. We're going to talk about that. I think that's absolutely a frustration point too. Sarah said, Dante, totally off topic, but I'm really broke, so I'm selling some of my action figures. Let me know if you're interested. I will hit you up on Twitter. You have some things that I might be interested in. Now, Jeff does bring up a good point, talking about the fact that Stefon Diggs and his whole crew have not met expectations, I guess is the best way to put this. Year after year, at least for the last 3 seasons, because we've seen the greatness of Josh Allen and how he stepped up and their defense being really good, Jordan Poyer and Micah Hyde being pretty much the best safety tandem in the league, and then them getting Von Miller and him looking really good. And, you know, always been the biggest question mark has always been about running back, been around the running back position. I still don't think they should have gave Devin Singletary up, and he had a pretty good year last year and has always started to get better and better and better. I don't think they actually gave that dude a chance. Then they draft James Cook, and now there's this whole talk about maybe the Bills might go after Jonathan Taylor now that the Colts are allowing him to seek refuge in the trading market right now. But I think that's absolutely a part of this too that we can't ignore. When your team is constantly, being put in the media as, we're going to make it to the next place, we're going to make it to the next place, we're going to make it to the next place, doesn't your competitive side come out? Has anybody that talks about this, that have they ever played sports, when you don't win, it's frustrating. When you guys don't live up to your talent, it's frustrating. As a group, as a whole, you start nitpicking what everybody else is doing on that team. You start going to this person being like, why are you not doing this? I'm putting up 1,400 yards and 10 touchdowns a year. Why can't you get open? Why can't you do this? Why aren't you putting in the extra time? And the thing is, nobody knows if Stefon Diggs could be the first dude in and the last dude out in practice every single day. That doesn't get talked about. None of those players get talked about in that way. And I'm sure that he probably is. So when you're putting in the work, it's frustrating. When you're putting in the work every single day and you're doing your job, when everybody else can't step up to the plate, yeah, I would think that would be a little frustrating too. So maybe he is unhappy with Buffalo, and maybe he feels like that there's something blocking their chances of ever making it through, and it might not necessarily be him. It might be somebody completely different on that team that's not doing their job, and he's not trying to out them right now because they're on the same team. Maybe he's on another team, he might spill all the beans. This might be an awesome biography or tell-all story from Stefon Diggs, and we might be looking at him in a whole nother light, even from being in Minnesota to being with the Bills. Maybe he's not spilling the beans on any one of those situations. And if Kirk Cousins doesn't end up winning a championship with the Vikings, he might be right about that. If Josh Allen ends up winning a championship with not winning a championship with the Bills, he might have been right about that too. Who knows? I'm willing to take this situation with a grain of salt. And this is a life lesson for everybody. No matter how famous or no matter how not famous you are, you got to get the facts right. Because I had a situation like that, and mostly everybody knows what happened with that. Actually, this happened a couple times. When you don't get the facts right, you look stupid. And when you get proven wrong every single time, you look stupid. So we need to stop as a conglomerate, as a human race, we got to stop doing this and putting words in people's mouth or trying to seek out things for clout, because this is what it is. I mean, it's clout chasing at the end of the day. So, and then we just don't tend to look at the things that he probably is doing right behind the scenes. Let's get over to the comments. Coach said, I'm so sick of people saying they need a running back or it's the running game. No, it's not. They don't run the ball. They average 4.6 yards per carry. That's freaking good. Absolutely. Which means they get 5 yards on carry each time they touch the ball. It's not the running backs. It's just everything revolves around Josh Allen. And that's very true. It's going to take one Josh Allen injury away from them not just being a mediocre team. Who's their backup quarterback? Matt Barkley? I digress. So, moral of this story is he might be unhappy, but there's a lot of things that we have to look into from the aspect of Stefon Diggs and what he brings to the table for the Bills. And that might not be all on him when everybody's pretty much got the gun pointed at him and saying that every time he moves on or anytime he says something, anytime he's unhappy, that it's some alternative motive that he's all about himself when it might not be. I'm just giving the other side of the coin, because Stefon Diggs does have a bad rap in the NFL, but let's just break it down to like, how frustrating is his situation right now? Do you feel bad for his situation? Even though he produces every single year, why is he the one getting talked about when he produces every single year on every single team he's already had? He puts the pressure on himself and he always outperforms. Why can't the rest of his teammates? Why does Josh Allen every single year always start out slow and then speed up towards the end? I've seen Josh Allen choke games for them too, throwing an interception or fumbling the ball when he really shouldn't have. But he's a top 5 quarterback to some people. They put all the pressure on Josh Allen. They need to take some pressure away from him. Right now, they're putting all the pressure on Stefon Diggs and acting like he's the demon child out there for Buffalo. But I appreciate y'all hanging out with me, man. We're going to get through this. We're going to get through this. Just trying to make everybody think outside the box of this situation.